Craig Jones, not only has he become the savior and the hero of jiu-jitsu, he's also become now its greatest media outlet. Like, he's just telling this story.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, like, enthralling.
It's so entertaining. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. Now, Joe's just doing his hair. He's looking primo.
Fix that mop.
Windswept. I am restraining mine under this cap. I am now known as the guy in the cap. People refer to me as that guy in the cap, which is fine. I'm happy to be the guy in the cap. Friends, acts of generosity. Now, I believe this is what keeps jiu-jitsu going. This is what makes jiu-jitsu culture great. And I want to highlight a specific act of generosity and then speak more generally. Lachlan Giles is giving away the remaining $55,000. He was gifted or put in charge of $100,000 a little while ago to help grow jiu-jitsu in Australia. And it was not revealed who gave him that money. And he had made a prerequisite.
Craig Jones.
I mean, it could have been Craig, but it could have been, I actually think it could be Craig's sugar daddy.
Right.
There's someone out there who's got some money who's like, wants to get into jiu-jitsu, help people out, which is awesome. An act of generosity.
Incredible.
So Lockie had got people to do drug tests because he wanted to support natural athletes, and so there was a couple of people who didn't get money.
Well, yeah. Lockie said, "I'll give it." Like, the conditions are competing internationally.
You have to have had a certain level of success,
and you have to show a drug-free status.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so it's like, if you want it, show me the status.
And he agreed to pay for the test, but if you tested positive, then you had to pay.
Right.
And so the test was like $2,000 or $2,500, whatever it was, right? But he was sitting on some money, and I think he wasn't sure how he's going to allocate it. He has recently said he will divide it amongst all Australian athletes going to ADCC.
Right, yeah.
So it shakes down to about $6,000-ish across all male and female athletes.
Because he gave that initial...
He gave
a good
amount
chunk
of money to
like
different
a few
people.
key athletes, didn't he?
Yeah.
Josh Saunders is benefiting from it.
Yeah, and I think Lucas Kennard, like everyone who won trials, is getting a chunk of that money.
Awesome.
Which is huge because Lockie just wants to support jiu-jitsu. And I was like, I forgot about that. And I was like, I mean, I love that guy anyway, but I was like, yeah, great. Because it's indiscriminate. It's mainly not even people from his team. He's just like, we just want to support Aussies going to ADCC.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So that is a very specific case of an act of generosity. But
what a legend.
Yeah.
But then also, what a legend whoever gave him that money.
Yeah.
Right?
And then we just don't know, it's awesome that there's actually jiu-jitsu minded kind of benefactors out there in the world who are like the jiu-jitsu gods smiling down on random jiu-jitsu athletes, right? And that's really what keeps the culture going. But what I want to talk about in a more general way is the times I did not have my arm broken and the times that a world champion showed me a technique they didn't have to show me, and the time that people spent with me, which I didn't pay for, but they just did it because they wanted to help me get good at jiu-jitsu. And this has enabled me to stay in jiu-jitsu and give a fuck about it. It's like, wow, these people care enough to give their time and their hard-earned knowledge simply because they wanted to see me get better. And I'm no one special to them. I'm just a person who's willing to learn. And because I was willing to learn, they were willing to share. But then also, it was the mercy of someone not breaking my shit when they could have. That is an act of generosity.
It's a gift right there.
It is. And I probably deserved it. Not the mercy. I probably deserved to have my shit broken. I have been a rough and tumble roller in my lifetime. But it's interesting to me because I often don't think about that. And maybe you don't think about that, where you get out of a submission, you're like, their submission didn't work. But you don't think, maybe they just let me out.
I'm past that guy's guard.
Yeah.
Real easy.
He had a locked-in triangle, but somehow I got out of that.
Yeah.
Just because of my immense skill. Probably not. And what is good about this, so I wanted to bring this up. I'm not someone who believes in destiny or fate or anything like this. I saw an ad many years ago. It was actually in Brazil. And it's someone on their phone and they're walking down the street and they almost step out into traffic. And this person kind of puts their arm out and stops them from walking into traffic. And the person kind of stops what are you doing? and then realizes, oh, whoa, cars blow past, and like, oh, this person just freaking saved my life. And it's like, oh, there's no words. It's just like, oh, thanks, man. And then that person turns around, there's like an old lady there. So they like help the old lady across the crosswalk. You know, there's all this little acts of generosity, like passing it along.
Yeah.
And then the old lady gives some change to a homeless man. And there's just all these knock-on effects. It was actually an ad for phones. It was actually an ad for like, don't be on your phone all the time, but it was a cell phone sponsored ad. But what I liked about this was like, if someone shows generosity, it demonstrates that it's not in the name of self-interest. It passes it along. And that demonstrates or shows that you too can be generous. And it's like, oh, yeah, maybe I should be generous. Like, mate, that person didn't have to do that, the total stranger. How nice. Maybe that gives you permission to then be generous. So,
ladies and gentlemen, if you want the best gear for BJJ, you need to go to parryathletics.com. These are our guys. They support the show. George, great guy, great creator, awesome colors, awesome styles, and also the best fit. It feels great. And that's the thing. It's not just that it looks good, it feels good. And the thing that for me, I love the most is I can wear the stuff at Jiu-Jitsu, but then also they've got that other side, the cool side where you can wear it off the mats. And they are our exclusive partner in apparel. If you want to get bulletproof gear, you've got to go to parryathletics.com. And when you buy anything at checkout, enter bulletproof20 for 20% off. Oh, yeah.
the next time you're on that locked on armbar and you're like, well, tap or snap, bitch. Like, it's just, you're like, well, actually,
Jay told me it was do or die out here.
Maybe. But, it's much, I find it more regrettable. I have regretted the times when I have pushed it and injured someone versus let it go, and then they're like, I got your back now. I just, that's a small act of generosity. It keeps the culture going. It keeps people going. And even if they're not aware of it, I think it is a good thing that we extend these acts of generosity. I think this is what's really good about jiu-jitsu culture.
I walked out of the supermarket the other night. I went up to get a couple of things, we're cooking dinner. I was like, we don't have this and this. So I just ran up real quick. And there's two supermarkets, and I was going to the second one. They're next to each other. And as I was walking past the first one, this kid, this young boy, is probably like, probably 8 or 9. I think he was with his mum, and they both came out and looked down the road towards where this homeless guy was sitting.
Right.
And it was a rainy night, and this homeless guy's sitting there. He had a dog, and there's not often homeless people there, so it kind of stood out.
Sure.
I just noticed that they were observing him, and then the young boy went towards the homeless guy. And it was happening in front of me as I was walking past. And the boy went up and said, said something, and then gave the homeless guy some food that they'd obviously bought in the supermarket.
Nice.
And I was like, holy shit. And then the young boy continued walking to the other supermarket, and we crossed paths, like I was walking next to him. And I was like, that was a really lovely thing you just did. And he was like, thanks. But I was like, how cool is that? Like, and it made me think, I should.
Yeah.
Which it normally, it
Doesn't
crosses
occur.
I would say traditionally I've not been like, hey, give some. I think I was often more of that mindset of like, nah, because you're just reinforcing whether they're going to spend it on drugs or, those sort of
Perhaps.
things, right? But I actually don't agree with those things anymore. And I was like, what a lovely gesture.
Yeah.
And it just inspired me in that moment.
Yeah.
So kind of to your point.
Yeah, it gives another person permission.
Yeah.
Like, that's possible.
It shows a lovely example.
Yeah, and I think in those situations when like giving to a homeless person, like I will often say, "Are you hungry? Or do you want a drink or something?" Like because if they are a drug addict, much better that I buy them a meal than give them money, which maybe fuels a habit or whatever. Like no judgment around that. Just
I went back and I said, "Hey man, let me teach you some mount escapes."
and
and we had a great roll.
yeah. Perfect. On the pavement, on the streets, the way it should be done.
I'll give you what I got.
And look, you had him in the tea bag, and you decided not to tap him, and that was generous.
Not
Joey.
here, Joey. Not now.
Rein it in, and he appreciated that.
Do you find you get thirsty at training? I do. I do all the time. I'm a sweaty human and I need to hydrate. Now, the biggest problem is by the time you're thirsty, it's a little bit late. You need to hydrate. And that's why we got Sodi. Sody is sponsoring the show. We've got all the colors of the rainbow. Great flavors here. We've got salty citrus, salty pineapple, salty berry, and my favorite, salty grapefruit. And they will be releasing 2 new mystery flavors soon. So why do we need this? It's going to prevent our muscle cramps. It's going to help our energy delivery. And it's also going to mean you're less tired, which is an advantage when you're training. If you want to maximize your jiu-jitsu and feel good when you're rolling, you need to get Sody. And when you purchase, enter the code Bulletproof20 at checkout for 20% off. Oh yeah.
But let's go to maybe just a sidestep to an act of generosity. It might be coming from the ADCC. Tell me, Joe.
I saw this morning, Craig Jones, not only has he become the savior and the hero of jiu-jitsu, he's also become now its greatest media outlet. Like, he's just telling this story.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, like, enthralling.
It's so entertaining.
It's so entertaining. And because the motherfucker's digging up old footage of Mo and Merengali and just like reproducing these classic little edits. But I believe this was the words from Mo, unless this was AI or some shit that generated it. But he's agreed to pay athletes to show.
There you go.
Yeah. And so he's like, we're going to pay. He's like, we don't know exactly how much. I can say $2,500 for each athlete to show, but once we get the final numbers back, that figure might be higher.
Oh yeah.
I'll let you know, but 2.5 is a minimum, which is pretty fucking amazing. And so Craig's caption was, "We did it, boys," and it's that, and then it cuts to a picture of him in military fatigues, obviously in the Ukraine with like a handgun. You're like, bro. Masterful leverage once again.
Yeah, excellent. And
but very cool. Like
jiu-jitsu athletes deserve to get paid. They're going to get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy days.
Yeah, and like that was, like he strong-armed the ADCC into going, okay, we'll pay you guys.
Yeah, because we're losing all the best guys.
Yeah.
But that's the free market, right? People will go where they're going to get the best conditions, created better conditions. It's great. And maybe these acts of generosity are signaling to the IBJJF and any other organization that wants to put on events, you got to pay these people because they're worth it.
Yeah, maybe start letting people's mum and dads into the events to spectate for free, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe
that'd be a really lovely act of generosity. Don't charge their parents because they've already paid to enter 3 divisions,
exactly.
$200 or whatever.
Yeah, and maybe don't charge people who are previous champions to enter your competition.
That's right.
Maybe pay them to come. Maybe pay them $150 to.
That'd be really nice.
Come to your tournament.
Yeah,
act of generosity. There it is, folks. Much love and generosity to you. Please, if you can, show your love and generosity to us by liking, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star rating. We appreciate you all.